Well, I just kind of wanted to start this off by talking about the Vikings fans. I thought they were tremendous. The other day gave us a real home field advantage. That's the loudest, in 2 years that I've heard it. And as a play caller, it's something that I thought about, and I didn't really know. Just going back to a year ago, it took me two, 3 games to really realize how loud it. Not 2, 3 games, but 2 or 3 games to start to use it as, part of our kind of defensive system. We know it's going to be loud. We know it's going to be loud for the offense. It allows us to disguise and move and, give the offense some pre-snap looks that we think will be hard for them, that will force communication in a place that is hard to communicate. So we try to use it to our advantage as much as we can. We're very thankful and fortunate that we've got a fan base that is yelling and screaming and really part of helping our team win. So I was excited for that. I thought we played, really proud of the way the guys played. They played hard. They were physical. It was a great week of preparation against a really good opponent. And they played well, and they had fun. And, guys are doing a lot of good things. Obviously, there's always corrections to make. We made them yesterday. We're still building as a team and as a defense. But, definitely off to a good start. But still very early. That was the message. So it's still very early. 3 wins doesn't, it's a great start. But, we got a great opponent coming up, this weekend in the division. And, we have to prepare the right way for this group. They're very good. So I'll leave it there and kind of open it up to any questions.
Brian, speaking of the crowd noise, how often have you seen an offense get called for 4 straight and 3 snap penalties?
I've never seen it. You see it, once, twice. That was, a great, example of what an effect our fans had, on Houston, and really knocked them out of field goal range. So they saved us some points, which is always good. So kudos and shout-outs to the Vikings fans.
Brian, how much mental load does it take for players to handle those checks and changes all of the time to the going down to 0 on the clock? I mean, what type of, mental skill set does it take for guys like Harrison Smith, Metellus, Cashman to be able to handle those things and still do them effectively?
We've got a smart group. I think there's some familiarity from having done it a year ago. We're obviously adding, to some of the things we did a year ago. But, our guys, it takes a toll on them too. There's often conversation in the week, like, that might be, 1 brick too many. But I tell them all the time, look, I'm going to push the limits in practice. I'm going to see how much they can handle. Oftentimes we pull back. I shouldn't say oftentimes. Every once in a while we will pull back. Look, I got a lot of confidence in the group from that standpoint that, they'll be able to make the checks and put us in the best positions, when possible. It's definitely hard with crowd noise. But we also know that, if we get it right, we'll make it difficult for the offense as well. So, look, there's ebbs and flows in the season. Right now we've done a good job from that standpoint. But, as anyone who's been in the NFL knows, there's good times and bad. So we'll try to limit the bad and, celebrate the good. We're in a good spot right now. We're doing a lot of good things, but, there's still a long way to go.
You talked about the hub of communication. What does it take to practice that and rep at the point where you can operate it when there's crowd noise and just making sure that everybody's on the same page?
Yeah, thankfully we've got this great facility. We go into the indoor, we pump the music in there, or pump the crowd noise in there, and practice. It's meetings, walkthrough, and practice, and that's kind of the talking points on a daily basis. We try to engineer a good day every day. That starts in meetings, walkthrough, practice. So, that's where it is. We do it with crowd noise, we do it without crowd noise. Sometimes it's, hey, nobody can speak. It's all hand signals. Sometimes it's all dummy signals. So there's, as a coaching staff, and again, none of this gets done. It's not just me. It's obviously the players get it done. But we got a great coaching staff, and DJ will handle the dummy signals, period, and Sarava will handle the no talking period. And Pet will, we're going to run the games without talking, or we try to do that. So there's a lot that goes into it. Again, I don't think you can just say, hey, do this and think it's going to get done. That's not how this works. You got to practice it. Our guys, they understand that. And we just try to do that on a week-to-week basis based on the opponent. It's not always perfect, but that's kind of the procedures we take or the process we have.
How does that, I guess, help you as offensive coordinators trying to get a beat on what you're doing? How much does that help you either stay ahead of that or just have enough flexibility or deception that it's harder for them to do that?
Well, we certainly got, one of the best coming up as far as offensive coordinators. And I've had my share of tough days against LaFleurs and his offenses dating back to when he was in Tennessee. Had a tough day then a few years back. And, quite honestly, we have to do everything we can to stay ahead of, a guy like Matt. And he's, I don't think it's being talked about enough what's going on over there with Malik Willis. I think for Matt to go in his bag and be a West Coast guy and then turn around and he's got this whole zone read, RPO, counter read, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I think, I don't think it's being talked about enough. I mean, this is just, it's impressive to watch. He's obviously a very, very good coach, one of the best in the league. And, this will certainly be a challenge, regardless of who the quarterback is. But, to answer your question, it's a, we're trying to stay ahead. And I think all the practice reps, give us a chance to. Doesn't always happen that way, but it gives us a chance to.
Yeah, Brian, how does that stress your preparation here with the whole staff as you're preparing for not just two different quarterbacks, but you said two different systems?
Yeah, it's two different styles of offense. It's not easy. I'll tell you that, Andrew. It's not easy. But, look, they got a good group. It's not just a system. That their O-line's good. They got good tight ends. They got good receivers, good backs. They run off the ball. They're physical. This is one of the most physical teams I've seen. Receivers block, and the O-line blocks, the tight ends block. They do a good job across the board.
Beyond Matt LaFleur's adaptability, what else has made him so tough?
He's just got great acumen. Obviously, he's got a menu of different styles of play. He tries to stay ahead of the defense. Clearly, they run it, they screen it, they drop back, they play action, they RPO. They've got everything, which can try to keep you off balance. And then he's just, I think some guys just have a knack for, calling the game a certain way, and he's done a great job with that for a long time. But the adaptability to me is, I learned a long time ago, great coaches are able to adapt. There's so many injuries in the National Football League. And this is going back, this is a Bill Belichick. There's so many injuries that you have to be able to, coach and play at a high level regardless of what the situation is. And obviously Matt's had, Aaron Rodgers, and they had a lot of success there. And Jordan Love comes in, and we've all seen what he's done there. And then Malik Willis comes in, and we're seeing what he's doing there. So obviously, Matt's done a great job. And, again, this should be talked about a little bit more than it is, in my opinion.
Watching the sideline, start of third quarter, offense is on the field. Harrison Phillips is looking at a tablet. He brings it up to you, and I see you guys are talking. And I'd asked him about it later, and he said it was something he recommended. He wasn't even on the field for that play. He was recommending like a stunt to you based on how they were blocking Jihad Ward. He said that he didn't tell me what it was, so he kept his mouth shut on that.
Good. Nice job.
But he did say that he might have used it later on. I was curious whether you did. And is that an example of this autonomy you talked about last week? Of,
Yeah.
like taking input from guys.
I'm not going to tell you whether we use it or not. But yes, again, like I've said this multiple times, I don't care where a good idea comes from. I think, in that instance, it was really a game that we could get to, fairly easily. It's one that we had talked about. Heidi had talked about it in the week. It wasn't necessarily in the plan. And that conversation with Jihad was separate from HP, but it ended up being the same conversation. And my answer to him was, we might be able to do it. I don't often like to do things that we don't practice. Happens sometimes, but I think that's how the things evolve, and you don't stay the same, and you can kind of stay ahead as when you've got several people who are committed to putting the best product out there, and it's not it's the entire coaching staff, it's the players, it's a lot of people invested in the success of this team, and I love seeing that. That's why my door's open and my mind's open to hearing from anyone if they think it'll help us. So yeah, I mean, there's certainly autonomy. I want them to feel like they're being heard from a standpoint of they're wanting to help the team. I think we got a lot of unselfish guys, and that's a beautiful thing. And in that instance, a lot of players would say, "Hey, let's do this, so I can do this." But HP was saying it. He was saying, maybe Cash gets in if he goes this way, versus. And I said, we'll probably end up putting that in. Maybe not today, but we'll probably end up putting that in. So, it's a great example of kind of the unselfish kind of team experience we're having and hope to continue, as we move forward.
Brian, how do you toe that line of, you said sometimes you put a lot on guys' plates and they'll push back, but you'll push more. Like, how do you know when you think they can handle more if maybe they don't?
I think, to me that's coaching. It's teaching. I think where our human nature is to, we're good. And in order to be great, you almost, need to be pushed a little bit. That's something that I believe in. I know I needed to be pushed. So, that's what I tell the guys. I say, look, I'm going to push, and if we feel like, we got to pull back, we will. And they know that. But let's give it a try. Let's try it in practice. Let's see what it looks like, And if it looks bad, you can say, I told you so. And I'll say, okay, you're right. And then we just kind of move forward from there. But how do you reach a higher level if you don't give it a shot? And that's really the message.
With Malik Willis, I guess, what have you seen from just what's working for him versus maybe what was happening in Tennessee when he got a couple starts?
Yeah, well, I don't really know what happened in Tennessee, but these last two games he's been, very good. Obviously a threat with his legs as a runner, but he's throwing the ball well. I mean, that first play started with a 30-yard catch and run last week. Obviously, great play design, good throw, good catch. They got great receivers. Jaden Reed is, he's an up-and-comer for sure. So is Dobbs. I mean, they got some good players, really across the boards. But yeah, Malik's, he's just a runner, and then and he throws, a 9-ball up the sideline or a slot fade to Christian Watson, and it's just he's very talented. That's why he's in this league, and you find that to be the case. There's not a lot of players who, don't have talent, but the right opportunity, the right fit system, whatever you want to call it, and a guy can flourish, and you've seen that for 2 games here with Malik, and it's just a testament to. I'm sure he was in there. I mean, I don't know how long he's been there, 3 weeks or something like that. I mean, to go out there and do this is, again, this is pretty special stuff that's happening over there.
How do you prepare for that in terms of a team that has RPO stuff now, and it's not typically what they do with Jordan Love, just trying to set up your week from a preparation standpoint for players? How do you work?
I mean, we're still working through it right now. I mean, I think you essentially plan for two call sheets, one in this instance and one in, if it happens to be, Jordan Love. Obviously, they pose different issues for different reasons, but, without overloading the players, you want to at least give them enough to prepare for where it's, if it's one, we got to do this, and if it's the other, we need to do this, again, without overloading them. So that's really the challenge today, and that's really where our conversations are now. How do we prepare for both quarterbacks without, having 60 calls here, this is for RPOs, and this is for zone reads, and this is for drop back, and this is for shot plays. It's just, too much.
A lot's been made, obviously, about all the deception, pre-snap, post-snap. How do you view stopping the run game's role in what you guys have been able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to play physical, and I think that's a big part of stopping the run. I think the Packers want to play physical. That's a big part of running the ball, so, that's probably what this is going to be. If I'm, predicting and forecasting, that's probably what I think this is going to be. So, yeah, I mean, you stop the run or you make it hard for them to run it. They just end up in longer yardage situations. They're not on schedule, which obviously offenses want to stay on schedule. That's a big part of it. But if they can, get 5, 6 chunks, 6-yard chunks, 8, 10, 9, 10 yards, and not get to third down, and they're moving the ball that way, that's how most offenses want to work. So, it's hard because there's a lot of drop back and play action and RPO in those instances too. So you got to play team defense to kind of handle all those things. And we did a good job of that this past weekend. The 49ers was a little bit different. They ran it pretty well. But look, that was a point of emphasis. We made some corrections and we played it better. So that certainly helped. That certainly helped. All right. That's it. All right. Thank you, guys.